My videos are getting really long. I need to stop jabbering so much because no one's going to listen to me for 5 minutes, and I really need to keep it to, I think, probably 2. That's what the internet tells me anyway. Least restrictive environment. Today we're going to be talking about least restrictive environment, and when we say that, it comes from IDEA, and it is the concept that a student should be in a class with their typically developing peers as much of the time as possible. I think where people sort of maybe misunderstand or misapply that concept is when there's a student that is able to be in general education, and so we're like, yay, they're there, but they may not be making progress or may not be getting the exact services that they need in that environment. And that's when we should be considering, what does that look like along this continuum? So you have 0% in gen ed, and then you have some, separate school, residential kinds of things. But, you have the vast majority of kids are in this 0 to 100% in gen ed. And they put it into bands, LRE 1, 2, and 3. And I think that they do this just because it's a good way to, group kids together so we can look at trends in the data around who is in these different bands and, how many kids are in this band versus that band. We know the majority of students are in LRE 1. And sometimes schools get nicked for, or slapped on the wrist for not having, access to all 3 of the bands within their environment. And so that is one of the reasons why I think they divide it up that way. But it's really about finding the sweet spot along that continuum of where a student is with their peers as much as possible and making progress. So making progress toward their IEP goals, demonstrating that they're able to access general education curriculum. And that is really that where they sit on that curriculum sit on that continuum should always relate, be directly related to the data that is showing that a student can be successful in whatever environment they're in. And if they are successful, you're always asking the question, could they be in gen ed more? So the idea is really that you're challenging and sort of pushing always to see, great, you're successful in your sweet spot, but your sweet spot might change. And if it does need to change, we're always wanting it to change, if possible, towards more time in general education with typical peers, because that's what's best for them. And sometimes, obviously, that needs to change in the other direction when a student isn't being successful wherever they're at.